So let's check out Calculate Linux. What's up guys, it's Josh back with another video, and today I wanted to dive into Linux once again and take a closer look at Calculate Linux. Now Calculate Linux is super cool. It's a rolling release distribution based on Gentoo. And based on my research, Calculate Linux is known for its balance between cutting edge features and stability. So let's jump right in and explore what Calculate Linux has to offer. Before we move forward, I wanted to give a quick shout out to CIQ, the official partner of Rocky Linux. Rocky Linux is a Linux distribution that is intended to be a downstream complete binary compatible release using the Red Hat Enterprise Linux operating system source code. The project is led by Gregory Kurtzer, who was the founder of the CentOS project. So check out Rocky Linux at ciq.co. Alright, so I'm at calculate-linux.org. This is where you can get Calculate Linux from. And like I said, this distribution is based on Gentoo. And I've always avoided Gentoo, to be honest, because based on my experience, it's a highly difficult distribution to get up and running on your system. It's a lot of hard work. You got to build things from source. And to be honest, I don't have the time to actually figure out Gentoo. That's one of the main reasons why I never dove into it. It was the same way with Arch Linux. It took me a while to actually take the time to read the documentation and install Arch Linux. I just went with some of those Arch based Linux distros like Antergos from back in the day. I don't know if you guys remember that project, but I was real heavy on using Antergos before the project went to the wayside, before I actually installed Arch Linux on my system. And it was mainly because I just didn't have the time, and I didn't see the benefit of taking all that time to set up a system using Arch Linux. But one thing I did was I went through and tried to walk through the install until I got comfortable with it before I actually installed it on hardware. And that's something I never got around to doing with Gentoo, which is another reason why I haven't installed Gentoo before. But I really wanted to check out Calculate once I found out about it. And basically it's a user-friendly distribution that focuses on speed, functionality, and stability based on the information I've read. And like I said, it has that super cool foundation of Gentoo, which maintains backwards compatibility with it. That's one of the cool parts about it. And so this means you'll get access to the latest application versions while enjoying the stability of well-tested library versions. And with Calculate Linux, you only need to install a system once and then update it continuously throughout the lifespan of your hardware. And I've played around with it. It's super simple to use. Similar to other Linux distros, this makes Gentoo a lot more accessible for the average users that are out there. And I think that's always been the problem with Gentoo, why a lot of people don't actually use Gentoo as much. As far as I know, I don't want you Gentoo guys to beat me up in the comments, but based on my knowledge, I don't see many people that use Gentoo. I've never ran into many people that use the Gentoo Linux distro. Like a friend of mine used to use it all the time. He loved it, but he even got sick of building everything from source. But from what I hear, you know, it's super stable once you got everything set up. But in my opinion, distros like this that are based on Gentoo will bring Gentoo to a wider audience. And so I wanted to share it on my platform as well and walk through how to install it and all that good stuff. Now, based on the main website, I wrote down a couple notes, but Calculate Linux, you know, caters to both individuals and businesses. It's designed to be a comprehensive operating system that can even serve as a replacement for Windows workstations. Out of the box, you get applications like LibreOffice, which I've seen. You know, I went through and installed Calculate beforehand, and the applications that are included, you know, or everything you need as a Linux user, like internet applications, browsers, you know, all that good stuff, image editors, multimedia tools, you know, and more. And the audio support is there. You know, it's pretty much everything you need for the system to get up and running. And one of the cool features, you know, I saw while looking through the website is that Calculate Linux offers a consistent desktop experience across different environments like KDE, Cinnamon, XFQT, Mate, and my favorite, XFCE. So really, no matter your preference, the desktop panels are in the same places, and you'll get familiar settings for your applications. So that right there is what makes it a whole lot user-friendly to me, especially if you're coming from another Linux distro. The desktop experience is pretty much the same across the board. Now let me go through and show you guys how to download it right fast. But if you click on the desktop, which is what we want to install, they also have a server version, they have a cloud version and a testing version, but we're gonna go with the desktop version. But all you gotta do is click there and you can download whatever edition you want. As you can see, like I said earlier, KDE edition, they also have a Cinnamon edition, LXQT edition, a Mate edition, and like I said, XFCE edition. They also have a Linux from scratch edition, which I thought was super cool to see. And this one was kind of interesting to me, but they have a XFCE edition scientific version. So that might be cool to actually look at for any of you guys out here. But like I said, I'm gonna go with the XFCE edition, the main, you know, XFCE edition. And all you gotta do is click the download button, and it will start the download of the operating system. And like I said, this is a live ISO, so you can boot right into the operating system, you know, on that live ISO, and then go through the installer. And I want to walk you guys through the installer. It's not that difficult to do, which is another reason I recommend people check this out, you know, especially for it being Gentoo. It has its own installer, and it's not that difficult to run through and get installed on some hardware. So if you got an old laptop sitting around, you want to try it out, definitely, you know, try Calculate. So let's hop over to my virtual machine and we can get this thing installed. All right, so we got the live ISO booted up, and like I said, installing Calculate Linux is a breeze. But in order to get it installed, all you have to do is simply click on the install script on the desktop, and right there, boom. You can also go to the installation guide, which is stored locally. You can also go to Gported is there. So this is a good live ISO if you want to just go in and partition drives or something like that. And then right here, you can go to the community site, so that'll allow you to go to that. But let's go through the install, and like I said, it's not that difficult. We'll walk through it, and it's super simple to install. I'm gonna leave it like right there so you guys can see it and it's not being blocked by my face. But first thing, set up your language and locales. You can set up your time zone. I can go in here and find Los Angeles. There we go. So we're good to go. And there are some advanced settings, and you only want to open that up if you need to. But let's look at some of it. I'm gonna just make sure I look at a lot of it, just to, you know, verify that we're selecting the right thing. So English for the keyboard layout. You can also do your hardware clock, so you can do local. Let's go next, and it should, you got to click on each one of them. I forgot about that. You got to click on each one of them. The installation media, so or the image, is going to use the image that we're booting into. So let's just hit next. Let's look under advanced under here. Okay, so installation type. So this breaks down how you want to get the hard drives installed or set up for the installation. You can erase the drive and install Calculate Linux, which is what we're going to do. Or you can also use the current partitions on the system if there are some set up. And then right here are the partition options. So swap partition for the update, you know, data partition, use the UEFI bootloader. Yeah, you can select that, and as well as LVM. Now, file system for the boot partition, I'm gonna just go ext4 on all of it, just to make it simple. But you can also go in here and, you know, set up BetterFS, ext, you know, 2, 3, F2 file system, X file system. So we're gonna roll with ext4 just to make it simple. It's gonna use a GPT for the partition table. So they got a partition table. We can roll with that, and I'll just let it automatically put in the sizes for the root partition and swap partition. And then also the drive is selected, or this is the virtual hard disk that we want to get the system installed on. Now, the hard drive, I believe based on the documentation, it needs to be a certain size. I think it needs to be at least 100 gigs or 80 gigs or something like that from what I remember. But I just created a 100 gig hard drive just to make it simple, just to make sure it installed properly, it didn't fail or anything. I think I ran into that before when I tried to install it, but just want you guys to be aware, you need at least, I would say at least 80 gig hard drive in order to get this thing installed. So let's hit next. So, and this will give us a layout right here. It automatically put in the sizes for everything, so we're good to go. And then also let's see what's under this advanced, because I never looked under it. Okay, so boot disk, UEFI disk. Okay, cool. So let's hit next there. Okay, so the next thing is your network settings, and basically what I want to do is migrate our network settings. There is a manual network configuration, so we're just going to use the migrate, and basically what it's going to do is take the network information from the live ISO, migrate it over to the installed system on your hardware. So let's hit next there. Boom. And right here is where you set up your user account. So first thing they want you to set up is a root password. So I'll give it a password for the root account. Just give it something, whatever. And then let's hit OK. And then for some reason it creates a guest account. I don't like that. You can hit the plus arrow and this will allow you to create a new user. So I'm gonna name one Josh, or I'm gonna name this one Josh, and then full access. And then I'm gonna select all the groups for it, and essentially all I did was hit that and then hit the arrow with the bar. That means just grab all of them, so it'll move all the available values and move them over to the selected values. And you can also do the same thing, you know, back if you want to remove them. So just showing you guys that. Boom. Otherwise you would have to select them one at a time. So select, boom, but we want that one, so we're gonna put all of them there. Cool. And then actually let's remove them all and then add them all back, because yeah, that's fine. So let's hit OK and then type in our password for it. So that user account will have all privileges as well as a port of all groups. So let's hit OK there, and then I want to remove this guest one, so we're gonna remove the guest one. No auto login. I'm glad that that's selected. Boom. And then under here you can encrypt the user profile if you want to. I'm not gonna encrypt. Let's go next. Boom. And then audio, so this is basically setting up the audio on the system. You can use the ALSA, which I don't recommend. Go down and use Pipewire. That's the best one to use at the moment. Let's hit next. Boom. Right here it will audio detect the video drivers. You can go in and select something if you want to. I'm not gonna select anything. This is a virtual machine. I'm gonna just leave it on auto detect. That way it'll get the system up and going the way I want it. And then I'm gonna go down and select my screen resolution, so when it does come up, we got the system, you know, looking right, so to speak. Now grub terminal, if you want GFX term or console, it doesn't matter, either one. Whichever one you're comfortable with, select that. So if we hit next, boom, this will allow you to set up the update schedule, so you can do automatic updates every 24 hours, you know, clean obsolete program archive. So that's just removing all your cached programs on the system or updates on the system. But I'm gonna leave that unchecked. It says update other overlays. You can leave that checked as well. So let's hit next there. And now we can start the install. And like I said, super simple installation. Just gotta go through and read everything and just verify that you're doing what you want. And you can view all the options. This breaks down everything you selected during the install, and then we can go through and install the system. So let's hit run, and I'll be back when it finishes. And I know you guys didn't see this, but this installation only took me about 5 minutes, and maybe it's because of my system that I'm running it on, but it only took 5 minutes to install. And it also took the same on my server. It's a very quick install based on, you know, what I know about these systems and just installing different distros. It only took a couple minutes. Now down here at the bottom it says, would you like to reboot your system to complete the installation? And you can hit yes, or you could break the process or hit no. I recommend just hitting yes, and it'll go through the reboot. Now, one thing about it, you have to remove the disk or the installation media from the system. Otherwise, it's going to boot right into that. And I'll show you guys that in a second when it comes back up. So I'll be back. And just so you guys can see, this is that boot menu that is pulling up the live ISO, and all you have to do is go down and boot from first disk if you don't remove that installation media. So we can do that. It'll bring up the grub menu and it'll go down and boot into our system. All right, cool. So it took my resolution setting, so we get to go on the record. So this is the boot screen. All we have to do is log into our accounts and we are good to go. As you can see, it'll set up the user profile, and this is XFCE. It'll basically look like the live ISO. You know, you probably want to go in and change it, make it look a little different, you know what I'm saying, based on your preferences. You can go through, I mean, if you know XFCE, you know XFCE. It's not that difficult to use and change and make it look your own. But down here at the bottom is one thing I didn't show you guys on the live ISO, but they do have a dock, and you can keep this dock up if you want to. Right now it's on auto hide. You can go into the settings and make changes to that so it'll stay open the whole time. Now, up here on the left hand side, super simple, it's XFCE. If you've used it before, it's not that difficult to use. You can go into the settings, you can go into under settings manager. You can make changes to the appearance there. You can modify the styles, you know, icons. It comes with a few things on here. That's that Adwada, dork and Adwada. I like that. Or you can use the calculate default theme for the system. I'm gonna hit close, but one of the main things I wanted to show you guys, if you go back under settings, there is a calculate console. So this allows you to modify calculate, and it has a whole bunch of little features under here. And as you can kind of see, it looks like a website. It's 127.0.0.1. So basically local host at the end of the day, or home IP address. But you can go in and modify certain preferences for your system, which I thought was super cool. You can back up, restore, you know, this is the builder right here. You can go through and create a image if you want to of this system. It's a lot of cool features under here. You can set it up, connect to a domain controller, password modification, the configuration for audio, boots, configure a live menu, configure a package, sessions, networking if you need to, system, you know, user account configuration, user logout, flash install, pixie install, and yeah, like I said, a whole bunch of other little stuff under here. Now update the system. This is one of the main things I wanted to show you guys. So it'll open up this menu for updating your system, and all you have to do is select your repository, which to be honest, I'm not a Gentoo user, so someone may be popping up in the chat and saying, hey, you should use this, you should use this. I don't know. I was thinking the update repository should be calculate, but this is one cool thing about it. You don't have to you know, run a lot of things from the command line if you don't want to, until you get used to using the operating system, to install packages and all that stuff on the system. You can use this to update your system and keep it fully up to date, you know. And then all you have to do is hit run. I'm not gonna run it because it's basically gonna have a whole bunch of, well, let's run it so I can show you guys, but it'll have a whole bunch of updates to the system. I think last time I ran it, I think it had like 700 and something, you know, packages that it needed to install. But this will update your system for you. It's sync it to the Gentoo repository. As you can see, it's gonna check for updates, all that good stuff. It'll bring up a whole bunch of updates. I'm gonna break the process, and hopefully that doesn't break the system, but I think it won't. But let me just show you guys this. But this is one of the first things you want to do on your system is update the system, and that's been my experience on everything. You need to update your system. Let me break it, but I think it's gonna say about 700 and something packages that it needs to be updated, and maybe this ISO is a little old, that's why, you know what I'm saying. But let's see, you can go into preferences here. That'll change up the preferences of this console. But that's pretty much all I wanted to show you guys there. But also, if we go back under settings, you can go to the updater here as well. So click there. That'll bring up the updater by itself, and you can run through and run those updates there. And another way to get to it, you don't have to go into start menu settings. I just want to show you this is kind of like the default way, but they also have it on the panel. So if you click up here, that'll open up the console as well. So we can close that out. Now let's look at some of the software that's included. So they have GIMP on here, Nomax, let's see, FontForge, let's see, internet. They do have Chromium as the browser. So let's look at the version of Chromium that's included. Let's go into here, let's go to about Chromium, and we have version 108.0. So that's an official build, so we get to go on that. Let's close that out, and then let's see what else we got under internet. Hex chat, there's a mail reader, the default mail reader, KeepItTechie, and then I think this is a base. Oh, it just brings up Chromium. That's the shortcut for it. So down here on the panel, if you click here, well, they have just Chromium on here, but a lot of times they'll have like a generic thing that says browser down here, and maybe it's because the icons that are installed, it probably doesn't have one. Well, it should, you know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, multimedia, let's see, audio, SM player, Strawberry is super cool. That's a music player. Office, now one cool thing about here, it has LibreOffice. So let's look at the version of LibreOffice, see what version we got on here. And if we go to help and then about LibreOffice, that'll let us know what version we got. And it could have told us, I mean, it does tell us right here, you're running 7.3, yeah, and that's what we're running, 7.3. So let's go and close that out. Boom. Utilities, so we got Catfish file search, bulk renamer, that's, you know, awesome, you know, tools on XFCE, so super cool. LeapPad, calculator, and calculator is basically a calculator for, well, that's one of the ones I've seen that's used on a lot of XFCE, you know, desktop environments, calculator. And then the terminal emulator right there. So let's open that up. It also has a screenshot tool. That's super cool. Let's go back under utilities. They got a screenshot tool. Boom. So let's see how this system is running, you know. And what I want to do is run htop. Htop should be installed on here, and yes, it is. So it's got like 729 megabytes right now. You know, I'm not running anything on the system like Chrome or one of those heavy resource intensive applications. So this is just like some stats, you know, while it's not running anything on the system. So you can kind of see where it is on the resources. But let's go ahead and close that out. And while I'm in the terminal, let's check out the kernel version. So let's run uname-a. So it's using a 5.15 kernel. Let's see if we see anything different. I can't remember. Yeah, there we go. I could have just ran uname- or I forgot about that. But yeah, that'll give you the kernel version right there, broken out. And so that's pretty much it. I wanted to show you guys on this distro. It seems pretty cool. I definitely think you guys should check it out. So that wraps up my overview of Calculate Linux. And like I said, it's a rolling release distribution that brings together the power of Gentoo with user friendliness, security, and stability. So whether you're a seasoned Linux user or just starting out, Calculate Linux offers a versatile platform that can cater to your needs. And like I said, I think this will bring a lot more users to trying out Gentoo for the first time. You know what I'm saying? Because that stigma around that Gentoo is like super hard or it's difficult to get installed, which it kind of is in my opinion. I mean, I've tried to install it in the past, just playing around in a virtual machine, but I didn't have the time to try to figure it out. But if you're interested in exploring a new Linux distro, like I'm always doing, I'm always playing around with new distros, definitely check out Calculate Linux, you know, and possibly give it a try. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more Linux related content. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And of course, keep it techie.